Eko di koda kinya tekere ko ke muria. Alia tekere yoko ke muria. Iwaning ipei. Na iwaning ipei.
There was lack of coherence of laws that guide land, that guide mining, the environment. That was the beginning of our work in Karamoja.
Karamoja region sits on 27,000 square kilometers. This arid expanse of savanna and bush covers the northeastern part of Uganda. Administratively, the region is divided into 9 districts: Kabong, Abim, Kotido, Moroto, Amudat, Napak, Nakapiripirit, Karenga, and Nabilatuk. Most of the land is communal and customarily held under traditional authority. Karamoja is an agro-pastoralist area, and her economy is based on cattle herding. This is considered by the Karamojong to be the most sustainable type of livelihood in the harsh environment in which they live. With over 50 types of minerals resting under her soils, Karamoja is now a land of promise and is increasingly attracting many suitors. Thirdly, instead of bountiful gifts and lifelong commitments, these suitors carry with them land tenure insecurity, involuntary displacements, loose contracts, and destruction of the surrounding environment.
Karamoja should be having the most minerals, can say over 80%. There is a airborne survey that was done, which I think even those that are not revealed or discovered shall be discovered in the report. We expect this area to be industrialized, and you see with industrialization it comes also with other effects. If matters of land is not taken care of, you may end up having people landless.
Anani kang abuang rianga kinere reta maribo ko iba galar nga ko dite ako di loop ane rai ane pane de ke boyo da na lupanguna abua wa da ke kokidoa abua wa da ke reta da na lupangun.
Since the land is owned communally, there are those clan leaders who are responsible, so people go through them and exploit their, if I should say, ignorance.
Karamoja don't know ekari. They just say from here to there, from there to there. You give them either 10 million or below 10 million. Isn't that one is cheating them?
Taka na yung boya nga ko naga pana niya kauru niya yoda. Akata da na kinecha yoda ringa diti cha na karikore ringa ko luprikanu. Ala la katarta na ata pa ko di ludongo kinto ta mana lupungun. Yan ka di ko luebo ko yata ngoro. Ano kita na lupungun. Yan ka di ko luebo ko ata ngolere kailem. Yan na lupungun ano kita. Ata pa ko di. Iya ka di na lupungun. Goro dano winga kranga lupangun. Ikwa da atakara na ngota ko na boko na nkosila. Goro danga lupungun no we.
Those two, the environment, for example, and property, are like a bedrock. That's where other rights stand. If you don't have property, you can't produce food. It means there's malnutrition. It means the life is affected, health, because without food, you know what that means. It means that subsistence economies or subsistence families have nothing to sell in markets.
Na iwaning ipei. Iwaning ipei. Na iwaning ipei.
Abu kiti ya bukane ka nyuro mami wa kana metina tamare boko to nyuta na lupangun buke taraga tare mari turbo gilo na taraga tai present ngol
puntiane yang ape akoro ngaram ni ata yang ngedwe to kana bongto dalo school ro to na amakai yarata ro to ma makai ngun atamare prestri ingi to na go kan boigne to na tang klele jaka chakona
Ekodikoda kinya tekere koke muria. Alia tekere yoko ke muria.
Goro dina yenge tunga tamara. Ai boku wa kine ba bukan. Na lupa ngono ko jolo. Kena kinte to aku. Lupa goro dina tunga. Arwane da bu punta ne ara kartar na ret. Mamro bo bori abu punta arman. Ara charone. Ro chana re to ngana. Bara bu punta jok. Tala kari tori ngari ngata na igona ga to kana. Ara ke ko bara ro tingini. Na imuni kini tori nga aga ganga ginti do ani ara. Mampa ke pedor to aga na ngani ni. Ini ya kade to kana ke chiki. Tala kari tai ke chino ya ngona ngetunga. Ajore ngona ngetunga. Ai bori ngini pe ngina ngara.
We just didn't represent them in court only, but we hired and secured valuers to value their land and surveyors to survey and open boundaries.
By 2016, the overall population in Karamoja was estimated at about 1.2 million people, with about 70% residing in rural areas. In all 9 districts of Karamoja region, there is no private law firm. In case there is a grievance in the communities, it is not possible to engage a private lawyer. In working towards our objective of improving access to justice in the resource-rich Karamoja region, ANARDE built a network of paralegals, mediators, opinion leaders, and elders. This group of volunteers has been integral in helping to cause awareness at the grassroots level.
This is 104.7.
When an investor takes land, what are the compensation rates? I am with ANARDE already in the building.
The Constitution, under Article 26, it provides for compensation. And compensation, they're talking about adequate compensation, which should come on time, should be fair and prompt.
We are now sensitizing on how they should take charge of their own land, how they should register, knowing that we have organizations like ANARDE with lawyers.
Using community dialogues, meetings, and awareness-raising sessions, over 7,000 people have been engaged on topics addressing land evictions, the importance of compensation rates for semi-permanent structures and crops, rights of women, spousal consent, and many others. This face-to-face interaction, coupled with radio talk shows that were heard across the entire region, led to increase in demand for legal services. And so, to help shoulder the burden of cases that could not be handled by mediators, ANARDE trained over 20 judicial officers and 70 lawyers to give legal aid support in the region.
Most lawyers, they are not so much engaged in environmental litigation. So ANARDE comes in to facilitate these trainings where key case scenarios are brought in, okay? And then lawyers practice onto that.
At the beginning, the LC1s and the area land committees were really hard on us. They thought we have removed them from their work. Because when a client comes to you, when you try to consult, the LC1 will tell you which powers do you have over this work. And also the area land committee tells you who has given you the right to do this. So, due to the many trainings of ANARDE, that's when we were introduced to the area land committees and the LC1s.
What I've appreciated, the legal framework that I've understood, and it has helped me to help other people. And they appreciate what we do. That's why whenever there is an issue, they rush. They can't even borrow airtime to call me.
We have been mediating on land conflicts, including boundary disputes. We have been dealing with gender-based violence. We have also been dealing in issues of trauma healing.
Firstly, I did not know how to follow those steps of mediation. So when I underwent that training, it gave me a broad thinking of saying, this is how we are supposed to start with mediation. You have first to consult, we have to meet parties individually, then again bring them together, those processes. That's what mediation trainings have added in me.
The Karamojong are people rich in culture, and very little of that culture has been tampered with. At the helm of Karamojong society is the Council of Elders, who traditionally were the mediators and judges whenever conflicts arose among people.
They are respected like small gods. In fact, to even go further, they are feared.
Issues about rape and defilement, they could not sort it out like by speaking, like it is today. Those people were supposed to be beaten thoroughly. If they survive by their luck, the defiler should have to pick a bull and kill for the elders.
When we introduced to them these processes like initiation stage, those processes, they also appreciated. They were like they didn't know. Now we are all together with them. Even if a meeting is called when elders are there, still we can stand in.
I look at ANARDE having a lens of the formal justice system. And for us, we are bringing in the traditional justice system. We are trying to mix the best local practices and the existing, modern styles of approaches, so that we create a process that creates social cohesion within society.
You'll find when you go and tell them, respect the woman and all that, you'll find the elders who are men will see it as a joke because they're used to being at the top. You say land should be owned by both men and women, and it's difficult for them to receive that because the men are the ones, the heads of the families, and they're the ones who own the land on which they are grazing the animals.
Originally, Karamojongs understood the woman. They took her as just a property, not an equally human being like them.
Most of them even keep quiet with cases. They can be assaulted, but you find somebody is just nursing her own just like that because she knows I cannot shout.
You find from the mines there, women are mining, men are at home. You go there, you break your stones. When they reach the time of selling, you find out that it is your husband who has come to sell what? You don't have a voice.
We try to form groups in the mining sites to help them in case they have a challenge. They can address it to their women representative, and she reaches us, and we try to get some help.
At one point, some of these women groups had a petition to the district.
We invited CAO, RDC, then I presented their petition. So when I presented the petition, it is when now the CAO ordered NGOs should look at the people in the mines, not only people around the community. And these women now are still with us, are still with ANARDE up to now. And they have become the women champions from their villages. They also mediate, they sensitize even other women. Even me, I used to suffer under the hands of my husband. He used to beat me, but now I've learned more. I became social and I managed to contest. I contested for the post of female youth councillor. When I contested, they even said no one should even. Yes, they left me unopposed and I went through. The knowledge of ANARDE has helped most people, not me alone. Many women now are really standing on their families. They have a voice, they no longer fear. They also express their feelings. Women are empowered. I thank really ANARDE.
Equalizing power between the powerful and the powerless, offering opportunities where they have been denied, making sure that people have their basic needs met in a way that offers self-respect, are all great components of justice in society. However, where there also exists an abuse of human rights and violence, these must be eradicated in order for the social justice aims to be met.
In the late 2019, there was again an upsurge in the level of human rights violation. These were brought by insecurity, And then the response of the security forces towards suppressing the security situation. So along with that continuum, there were a number of human rights violations that were committed, along with the emergence of extractive industry and mining, which is now a big boom in the region. This is one other that has increased the level of human rights violation by the third-party private sector business community.
Before we came in, little attention was given to the mining sites.
These people could stay here anytime they can tell them to get out. But when ANARDE came, they organized meetings with the Sunbelt company, together with the local leaders, together with Rukwadat, to make sure that the rights of the artisanal miners are respected. Women mostly were being violated in the mining area. You find that these very men within here, they make these women work. When it reaches evening, give them booze. You know booze when somebody changes somebody's mind. So they end up using that woman forcefully, or else fights, beatings. These women were being beaten. There were many children that were in the mining site. Some people could work for many hours, but they are paid less money.
They break stones. This is what they call the breaking fee. It took the people 13 years to rural settlement to increase the breaking fee from 10,000 to 15,000 shillings.
Their work was difficult because now they had to keep handing in their reports from wherever they are. Someone is in Amudat, over 40, 60 kilometers away from here, and they have to find ways of getting their reports to the office. Others are in Nakapiripirit, Namalu, others are in Abim district. Sometimes there's insecurity on the road.
When you reach here to the site, you open and log in, you fill the blank form, which has all the necessary information that need to be answered by the respondent. Now you don't see so many rampant violent cases against women, children, even artisanal miners.
Ilo checking to Karamoja Yaran, and check it back to the Mazinko, Mumma, and Kagan Rega checking it to the man there, to the medical checking. Narajak the Yara Robo, Terana, there, Narajak the Yara, Karamana. Now, not you carry on a colony, but it's a mine.
In issues of human rights, there is a lot to build people's attitudes. Our people still have a behavior which, if it is not changed, it will still bring in problems in the area. Take, for example, peace. We have just enjoyed recently. It is fading off because there are people who still are sticking to the old behavior.
Even with the disruption that came with the COVID-19 pandemic and the reawakened insecurity in the region, ANARDE has managed to hit targets on all her objectives and influence landmark reforms in Uganda's laws.
So one of the highlights that we had, both in the EU and DGD, was developing of the compensation rates.
People were giving compensations based on what they thought was good for them. And in that process, the communities, the landowners, and so on, were getting exploited because these other investors would dictate terms on them and tell them, we are going to pay you this, and they accept it.
Legally speaking, the land itself and the building, if it's permanent, is supposed to be valued by a qualified valuer. Now, these other features on the land, it was difficult to find out how much do I pay you for your farm of maize that I'm going to destroy with this road or with my investment. How much do I pay you for this big, maybe eucalyptus?
We took them through, developed the rates and all that, because that is a very sensitive and emotive element that if you can't enjoy your property, if you can't have a right to housing, a right to food, you have no life in essence, a right to life.
I would like to take this opportunity to thank ANARDE It was timely. They came at the time when we needed it most.
Now, when communities are facing an investor, they have some formula they can use to, to value their land. In Karamoja, yes, we're focusing on majorly issues of natural resources, mining and all that. But we're also an environmental organization. We look at the right to a clean and healthy environment. Now we also focus on seeing how this area, which is semi-arid, can be saved from desertification, and also a new concept called earth jurisprudence, which is looking at the rights of nature, now in the National Environment Act, Section 4, and which looks at these trees should also have rights. Since they keep cutting them down, someone should sue on their behalf, like you keep suing for communities. So the environment is also very key on whatever ANARDE is doing.
The next part is reform of the mining law. We've done studies on royalties in Karamoja, how the best provisions, and then also on artisanal mining. These are rudimentary or traditional mining mechanisms, how to improve them, how they can benefit, how they can access and improve their livelihoods. And then we've also done a research on community involvement agreements, how mining companies can respect rights. So we intend to convene members of parliament, particularly the Karamoja Parliamentary Caucus, and say these are the governance deficits in the mining sector in Karamoja. At the time of debate of the bill, push for ABCD.
The mining bill brings in very many new concepts. There are different licenses that have been brought. Community agreements are now provided for. Contracts must be disclosed. There are different stages. That means more legal issues.
Going forward, there is still a lot that needs to be done. In almost 60 years of independence, the resource-rich Karamoja region has been largely left behind. However, with increased access to justice, Karamoja and the Karamojong people are being set steadfastly towards sustainable development goals.
It's no longer the Karamoja of 1960 where Obote said, His Excellency said that we won't wait for Karamoja to develop. There might come a time when Karamoja is waiting for you.
Look at the mountain there. All that is limestone and marble. That limestone and marble is estimated to last for 300 years.
With the increased number of activities, we have to make sure that those host communities participate in that law, the debate of the law and policy on business and human rights standards. We can't wait to see Karamoja drive Uganda to the next phase.